that you've heard of the Tuathail Danann, I suppose the first settlers in Ireland. They were divine people. You probably God, really, or the high person, the divine person of Irish mythology, and he was also believed to be God. So he goes right into the heart of the story, and it's believed that his body was buried at Brúnabáine, which is Newgrange, County Meath, but that he died, or he was killed actually at the Hill of Ishnach, which is over in County Westmeath. So so Maura McNeill produced these Volume 1 and Volume 2 back in the 1960s, and it was based on a lot of research that was done in the 1940s. So in the 1940s, they went around the country and started researching on what people remembered and what people of Lunasa. And it's called, of course, there was a lot of different names for it. It was called Bilberry Sunday. Puck Fair is associated with it. Lammas Fair is also associated with it. Lammas Day. All kinds of things, really, in different places. But anyway, here on Ardagh, there's a little bit about it. So in the great flat expanse of the central plain, east from Dublin to Galway, and north and south from the mountains and waterlogged fastnesses of the northern Midlands to the bogs and estuary lands between the Wicklow Massif and the Slieve Blooms, there are no upland barriers, but here and there isolated hills. Such a one is Ardagh of County Longford, in the ancient territory of Tedbach, between the great sheets of Lough Ree and the Shannon, and the line of the Midland Lakes, Sheelan, Derravara, Oul and Enel. Although only 650 feet in altitude, it is the highest point for miles around in all directions, a fact which was no doubt responsible for it having a place of local importance. Its celebrity, moreover, spread far beyond its radius of visibility. It was, in fact, one of the most famous fairy seats in Ireland. Brí Leith, scene of much of the action in the mythological romance of Mither, Etain and Ucha. Its amalgam of ancient and modern traditions makes it one of the most important and revealing sites of the celebration of Lunasa. On the first Sunday of August, which was regarded as the beginning of harvest and known as Bilberry Sunday, it was the custom for people to visit the hill. So interesting are the surviving traditions connected with it, that the outing that it is worth giving them in the words of a local informant. So now this is the words of a local informant taken in 1940s about this Sunday. In this immediate district, there is an eminence known locally as Ardagh Mountain, where on the first Sunday of August, so that was when it was done actually, children and grown-ups assemble to the present day for the purpose of picking bilberries and amusing themselves generally. The mountain was supposed to be the hunting ground of a huge giant, and very old people still cling to the belief that the giant did exist up to recently, as lights can be seen hovering near the centre of the summit, where a mythical swally hole is said to be located. The bilberry pickers, especially the children, are warned not to wander away from their companions, lest the giant should pull them down into the shaft of this hole. He is said to be very busy on the first Sunday of August, the day on which the trek takes place. There is a flat rock also on top of the organ or accordion. They go there generally after dinner, and many couples plan the ascent days ahead. The bilberries are carried back to their homes by the pickers after helping themselves while on the mountain. Process of mixing sugar and the berries together and then pressing out the juice. This is supposed to be a great treat for young lovers and hastens on the weddings. I don't think the local people regard the above as having anything to do with religious festivals. At least I have not heard it mentioned. And look on the time as a romantic outing. I have discovered the name of the king as King Midas of the mountain, who is said to have cellars and corridors all leading to a grand castle in the heart of the mountain. The hill in question is in this parish, and many ghost stories pertain regarding it. As we climb up through Ardagh Hill, Brí Leith, there's little areas here, like this little area here, which some people might describe as waste ground. But there is actually no such thing as waste ground. Every metre of the Earth's surface is important. And you can just see actually the plants that are growing here. There's beautiful puffer grass here. That's lovely grass. Shining seed heads on it now, it's gorgeous. There's a sow thistle here. There's a lovely plant here called coldspot, this one here, which has an extraordinary plant because the flowers come first. Flowers come in February, beautiful yellow flowers, and then the leaves come later. And then this one here, which is a much maligned plant here, this one is ragwort, which is in the family Senecio. And it's much maligned because it goes under the noxious weeds legislation, whereby farmers are authorized to remove it from their land. And that's fair enough. If you're in agricultural practice and you are have crops, you're growing crops, or you're growing, you have animals, you have to have the welfare of the crops, the husbandry of the crops, and the welfare of the animals. You obviously must remove it, and you can pull the plant up out of the ground. But where it is growing in areas where there's no agricultural activity, it is no longer, and should not be considered a problem, because it sustains a lot of activity. There's loads of insects actually hovering on it there now at the moment. There's beautiful, not sure what insect that is now. Looks like a little wasp, but I don't believe it is. But it is particularly important for the cinnabar moth, which is, so you'll often see at this time of the year, you'll see the those caterpillars, black and amber, on the plants here. Foraging away, and this plant is essential in their life cycle. So if you have it in your garden, you can manage it. I have hundreds at home in the garden actually, because I have a little area for the hens, and where the hens scratch and pick, they unearth the soil a little bit, and then the seeds of the ragwort will germinate and grow there. So it's absolutely no harm at all, none whatsoever. None of the hens will die because of it either. But so it's very important that we have areas and that we look after, we allow our so-called weeds to grow and flourish. So here we have the frocon, the little frocon fruit here, the little bilberry, and this is the bilberry plant. Beautiful little evergreen plant, low growing, and likes the dapple shade. So here we have above it a little bit of birch with holly and the heather. See the heather here beside it. So this, so it's called the heat fruit of Brí Leith. So the fruit of the heat, and you can see the heat. Here's the heather beside us. We have the wood sedge growing here as well. The holly here, and so those little fruits were prized by in ancient times. See another little fruit here now, and they were collected on Bilberry Sunday. In some parts of Ireland it was the last Sunday of July, and in other places the first Sunday of August. And they were collected. There was a lot of merrymaking and festivities associated with it as well. So it was a celebration, and also part of Féile na Lunas, the festival of Lunas, I suppose praying to that we would have a good harvest, and and it was also associated with romance, in which I suppose boys and girls meeting up, and there was no social media at that time, I'm afraid, so this was one of the ways they could meet up, and so it was all associated with that, the rituals of romance. So these fruits were very, very prized. The High King of Ireland, these were one of the prerogatives of the king. The fish of the Boyne, the venison of Naas, and the heath fruit of Brí Leith. Geologists would have great time now, because they would be able to talk about those, but they're a conglomerate, or called a pudding stone, where you have you can actually just see here, lovely smooth stone, and it's bedded in, almost cemented in, but obviously naturally occurring, naturally formed cement with smaller stones in it. And these stones are rounded here, and they're rounded because they were once part of an ocean, where they were being washed in, washed out over a millennia, and became rounded. And then at another period, then the sedimentary rock or whatever, they were cemented into the rock here. So it's quite possible, I would say, maybe, I don't know, would it be what period, how old they would be? Maybe 450 million years old.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I think I've heard that around that time.
Around the seabed.
Yeah. So in the middle of Ireland, these were once part of the sea. Yeah. So it just puts things into perspective.